Welcome to the Pac-Clone Creating a Video Game series. This is the fourth video in the series. If you missed the first three videos, check the YouTube notes at the bottom. You should be able to catch up quickly. To recap what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create a Pac-Clone game using the CBM Prg Studio, a cross-compiler that allows you to use your modern PC to write program code and execute it in the C64 emulator. This series is mostly geared toward those that might be interested in programming in assembly language, especially on the Commodore 64. I'm happy to announce today that in this video you will see a rough cut of this game running with all four ghosts and Pac-Clone running around on the map, with the Energizer enabled, difficulty map ramp-ups after level completion, and I've even added in some basic scoring into the mix. At this point it remains sort of unpolished, but it's coming along quite nicely. In this segment, I'm going to tell the tale of the source code evolution from the beginning pac.asm to the end, or to where I am currently with the project on pac13.asm. In the interest of keeping the video short and reasonable, this is sort of like the theatrical release of the game. And if anybody is interested in the extended director's cut version, drop me a note in the comments, but that can end up being very long, and I did record that version though, however. So starting with pac.asm, this is the very beginning that we covered in the last couple of videos, or last video. I don't have any comments. And then in pac1 I've added, the pac1.asm, the comments don't change either. Made some minor modifications, added some macros. Then we move on to pac2.asm, and I say that we've modified the code to allow all ghosts and Pac-Clone to move. So this is the version that has all the ghosts in it and Pac-Clone. Moving ahead to pac3, I went ahead and added the logic to make the ghosts smarter and make them follow Pac. And it looks like I stripped out my other source, my other comment there also. And then in pac4, added the logic to eat the ghosts, part 1. So when Pac-Clone eats the Energizer, what this part does is it turns the ghosts into the blue ghosts that Pac-Clone should be able to eat when that part is implemented. And then part 2, logic to eat the ghost, part 2. So I had to come up with the blue time duration and make the ghosts move away from Pac-Clone. So instead of the ghosts moving towards Pac-Clone, I had to come up with the logic to make the ghosts be repelled by Pac-Clone. And then in version 6 here, pac6.asm, see, I added a lot more comments here. Add the eyes logic to make the ghosts move back to the ghost cage once it has been eaten. Make Pac-Clone move in the last direction of travel even if no input is given. And I'm trying to explain that. If a wall is hit in an attempted direction, make Pac-Clone continue moving along the previous path until the end of the path. And that makes it more arcade-like a little bit. Then in version 7, all I did was added some comments, formatting, and changed some variable names. See that? And then in version 8, I fixed the a bug in the rand routine, subroutine, and I may have talked about that at some point earlier. But in the rand, I'm gonna go ahead and show what I did. If this variable, the $length, which is the length of the string that tells what direction Pac can move in, if it was 0, it would crash. The whole program would freeze. And so this ended up looping forever. And so what this does is prevents that from crashing. So load it, check it if it's 0, don't crash. So then going from pac8 to pac9, see the difference there. Added the scoring routine for dots and power pills, and I'll show a demo on that. Okay, and then so moving ahead to pac10, adding the ready text and the Pac death. And when I say ready text, that just so it prints ready at the very beginning of the game. I'll show a demo for that, how I did that. Moving to Pac 11. All I have here is that I added Pac death. Put the date on there. I'm sure I probably did some fixes related to the Pac death. And then moving from Pac 11 to Pac 12, bug fixes. And then finally Pac 13, which is where I'm at currently today, and I don't have anything in the works. I mean, I don't have anything written yet past that. So 13. In this one, I did some kind of reworking of the logic so that the warp tunnel logic and the keyboard press logic is a little cleaner. Before, I had separate code to warp Pac-Clone from the left side to the right side. It was separate from the ghosts when they were warped from the left to the right or right to the left. And I don't like that. I wanted it all to be clean in one set of code, and I finally went back and took the time to clean that up. So that's the tale of the source code comments. And that kind of tells the tale of the whole program evolution without going directly in and looking at the source code, which can take a very long time. Okay, now I'm going to demo the programs that we looked at the comments for and show the evolution of how the program evolved without looking directly at the source code. So in Pac 2, eating the power pellets does nothing, and I have all 4 ghosts moving around, and they don't really follow me, they're just sort of moving around randomly. But they're moving, they can go through the warp tunnels. That's version Pac 2. Then in Pac 3, when I compile that, the ghosts actually sort of follow Pac-Clone and kind of go to where he is on the map. I added that logic. Not a whole lot there, pretty similar to Pac 2. And then Pac 4, the logic to eat the ghost part 1 here. Really all that does is turn blue time on when you eat a power pellet or the energizer. So now we have blue time. And I believe in this version, that's all it does, and the blue time lasts forever. So then moving on to Pac 5, add the blue time duration and make the ghost move away from Pac-Clone once you eat the power pellets. So now there's a duration when I eat a power pellet. They're supposed to move away, but they don't look like they're moving away right there. And then, so the durations are enabled on this version. Moving along to Pac 6, added logic for the eyes. So now when you eat a power pellet and then you eat a ghost, the ghost turns into the eyes and the eyes return back to the cage. So let's take a look at that. So now when you eat a power pellet, you can eat the ghost, the eyes return back to the cage, the ghost cage. And then they'll bounce around a couple times and come back out and come after you. So let's move ahead to Pac 7. And on this version, what did we do? Just added comments, variable names. Okay, so we don't even look at 7, just comments and stuff like that. So from Pac 6 to Pac 8, here I fixed a bug in the rand sub. Then in version 9, in Pac 9, I added the scoring and some level logic, so to level up, to be able to complete a map and then go to a harder level. So here you can see the score up at the top. I'm going to demo that on the next segment. So that's the scoring, really quick. Pac 9. Moving ahead to Pac 10. Pac 10, I haven't shown that, but this is the death of Pac-Clone. Let's see if I can die here. or if it'll make a liar out of my comments. Yeah, see, it makes a liar out of my comments. So I had disabled it. It's commented out right now, but I'll probably need to re-put that in so to show you the Pac death. Let's see if it's in Pac 11 because it talks about it there. I know I had commented out because it takes too long to test all this stuff out if you're constantly dying. Let's see. Yeah, see, I have it commented out. Well, let's try to find that and comment it back in. I think it was just 2 lines of code right here. So now I'm going to comment that in, or decomment it, and show you what happens when Pac-Clone dies. And you notice I had the little ready thing. I'm going to show the demo how I did that. And so here's what happens when he dies. that was my animation when it went A, B, C. So that was Pac-Clone, dying right there. So that's what happens. And then you have your men down here on the bottom left. There were 5 zeros, now there's only 3. And then right now, so now I died again, so it went down to 2. And right now, if you lose all your men, the program crashes. It just goes an endless loop. I do that intentionally just to end the program. I don't have an animation or a theme song or anything like that. So that's what happens right there. Then in Pac version 12 just had bug fixes, and also 13, I tightened up the logic in the warp tunnel area and the keyboard press part of the program. So previously there was separate code for the warp tunnel for Pac-Clone versus the ghosts, and in this version I've tightened that up and cleaned it, made it a little more efficient. So it's all running under the same code base. And this is the final version, or not the final, but it's the latest version. Right now I have deaths turned off on it. And if you eat enough dots, which I'll show, you can actually go up a level, and we'll demonstrate that. I'm going to reduce the number of dots to complete the levels. So instead of 125, let's reduce it to 25. So if I eat 25 dots, we'll advance to the next level. And advancing to the next level ramps up the difficulty, the priority of the ghosts. And see, I added the flashing, and I'll show a demo for that. So that's where I am. That's the latest, and I also changed the background color when you go to the next level. And I have when I change the background color, I notice I have I guess the wrong characters here in a couple of spots. Instead of the wall, I have so that's why that's not being painted in properly. And that's where I'm at here on the latest version. It did take me quite a while to get to this point, but it's kind of like eating the elephant one bite at a time, and it's been a fun time learning, doing all this, and I hope you've enjoyed it as well. So for the scoring, I was really trying to figure out how I was going to go about, keeping track of the score. Was I going to do some sort of addition in all in hexadecimal and then convert it to decimal in the back end and display it on the screen? And it just seemed really inefficient. I didn't want to do it that way. So I came across this site, and this is the first time I ever saw it, and it's pretty cool. This guy is doing a demo, a web demo, and has a source code posted, how to write a Commodore 64 game in several steps. And on step 16, he has a score. He has his scoring source code. So what I've done is I've taken a look at what he's done, and I've adapted that. I'm going to demo that, or show you that right now. So I have my score.asm, and I give them credits right here. And really what it's doing, it's just adding, using the numbers on the screen. So you just display the characters 0000, like 5 or 6 zeros. And in this routine, you call this routine and it adds it up. And I wrote these comments right here, this part. So if your score is 654321, when you call this routine, load the X with a 0 gives you the first digit 6. If you load X with a 1, you'll get the 5. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you wanted to add $500, if you wanted to add 500 to the score, you load X with a 3 and load the accumulator with a 5 and then call this subroutine. If you wanted to add 3,000 to the score, load X with a 2, load the accumulator with a 3 and then call this sub, and so on. If you wanted to add 10 points, load X with number 4 and load the accumulator with a 1. So it's essentially the X is your decimal point and you move it over. And so I have a quick little demo here. I load some zeros and store them in the top left portion of the screen. 6 zeros. I load the accumulator with a 3 and then I load the X with a 3 and I call the subroutine. I can comment out these. Let's see what that does. So hit F5 and it gives us 300. And so looking at the logic loading, so if we wanted to load the X with a 3, that gives us the hundreds position, and a 3 in the accumulator is how much we're going to add to that position. So if I wanted to add 9 instead of 3 and run it, that would give us 900. And if I want it, you can go greater than 9. You can go 100 if you wanted to, or 125, and you hit F5 to run it, and it adds it all in. 12,000. Yeah, so it's a really cool, it's really efficient, it's really fast, and I really like this routine, the logic. And so I have adapted it into the program, starting I believe with Pac-10, was it 9? Yeah, Pac-9. So let's play around with this routine a little bit more, and so I'm going to strip out or make this 100. And so if you wanted to add it 1,000 to it, oops. With the thousands being a 2 and a 3 on the X register gives you the hundreds. So that would be 300. This would be 1,000. So you could easily add, so that would be 1,300 total. So if you wanted to, this could be 1 point, your ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So if you wanted to add 10,000 at a time, you just add this digit here, add 1 to this instead of adding 10,000 the whole way or whatever. So it's really a nice way of doing it. And let's take a look at it in action now. On Pac9.asm. So you see I put the score up at the top right there, and as I move, 10 points for each dot. It's very fast, very efficient. And if I eat a power pill, looked like I gave 100 for that. And a ghost, I believe I had a scoring system like 2, 4, 800, 1600. I think it was 2, 4, 6, 8, I think is what I did. Okay, now I'm going to bring in a couple of demo ASMs that I created to show how to do a couple of things that I showed in the earlier videos. The first one is the ready, how to print the ready text on the screen, but with a delay printing in between printing each character. So let me run this. You already saw it in an earlier video, but see how it just printed ready? Oh, you can't see it there, but then it does not clear the screen. So what I noticed, I was reading through the manual on the CBM, and there's a data type called null, which lets you put in a string, but then it also terminates it with a 0. So you know, you could put whatever you wanted right here. And I have a little loop where I'm reading in the string, comparing to the 0. If it's a 0, it goes to quit. Otherwise, it stores it on the screen, comma X, and it just loops. Now, what makes it effective, or what makes it, you know, go slowly, is I downloaded this delay from Codebase 64. Now this is supposed to smooth out raster interrupts to make your sprites so they're not jittery, is what I understand. And I just call this in a loop. I call this delay routine in a loop multiple times, and that is what causes the delay. So right here, JSR DLY, there's this huge delay in between each letter. So this code-based program is kind of weird with all these no-ops, and it's kind of complicated, but I mean, it's not complicated, but it's interesting what it's doing here. It's not obvious. So that is how I'm printing out the ready, and that is also the delay. So I'm using the same delay function on the flashing. So when you complete a level, that's the next demo. When you complete a level in Pac-Man, normally the map flashes for a couple of times. So that's what this is trying to emulate. It may not be perfect, but it does the job here. You just tell it how many times you want it to flash right here in the color counter. If I wanted to do it 3 times, change that to a 3. And it flashes 3 times. And so what I did was I have the draw map, the original draw map, but I kind of copied and pasted the original draw map function, and I did a comparison basically on the wall character. If it's equal to the wall character is the only one I want to change the color. Then I store the color value, comma Y, and then just loops. So it's really redrawing the map with a new color, but only the wall character is being changed. The color is being changed for that. It's only redrawing that one character. Otherwise, it just loops, and it's kind of an inefficient way of doing it in my mind, but it gets the job done, and that's how I am doing the flashing. Okay, in this demo slash tip, it's a really short one. I just wanted to show something that I learned that I'm embarrassed to admit it took me so long, is that if you highlight a piece of code, you have the capability of selecting right click, and you can comment the code. And that's beautiful. That's so awesome. Control Z to undo it, or right click to comment, highlight it again, and then right click to uncomment. Oops, I did comment again. Uncomment and uncomment. And then the other thing that I learned just through reading the manual on the CBM help guide is that there's a really nifty feature. What you can do here is the # region, give it a name, macros, and then you can put a # end region after you're through with all your macros. For example, let's just do it like maybe these two. # end region, one word. And so now it has a little green strip going down and then a little plus minus. So if you don't want to see all that code and you just want to look at the meat of your program, use the # region. And let's see, I show it, and let me bring up a later version here, 13. So I have a region code right here for program variables. If I don't want to see all these variables, I just hit the minus. I have one for my macro subs right here. So I can get straight to the main program straight away. And then near the bottom, I also have it so you can really narrow down. I have a lot of stuff in there in the region. So anyway, that is my tip of the moment. So in conclusion, I wanted to thank you for watching this video, and I apologize for how long it is. I realize it's a ridiculous length, and I tried to keep it as short as possible. And this is sort of the theatrical release. If you're interested in the director's extended cut version, drop me a note. And I have been in contact with Arthur Jordanson, who is the programmer of the CBM Prg Studio, and he is so cool. He gives me workarounds for little problems that I've run into. Any kind of issue that I run into, he'll either issue me a fix or give me a workaround, or tell me he'll get it fixed in the next version, and just don't do that, you know. And so one of the things that he's clued me in on is on a future release of the CBM, he's going to include like a SID tool. So it's going to be like a music or a sound creation type tool, and I'm sharing that with my viewers here, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to check that out when it releases. And I'm hoping that I can use it to add sounds, you know, into this game. The fact that there is no sound really makes it kind of bland. It's like adding salt to French fries or something. It just really livens it up when you have the sound and the music all added in. It really polishes it off. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. In today's bonus segment, I wanted to talk to you about a product called CrashPlan. CrashPlan is a product that I have been using that backs up your entire computer, all the files, and stores them up in the cloud. It is a subscription-based service, $59.99 a year for one computer. You can get it lower at a lower price. I got it for $42 for 2 years if you find the right deals out there. There are competitors to this, such as Carbonite, but I have chose to go with CrashPlan. The reason why I'm using this product is because, one of the reasons I'll say, not the entire reason, is because CBM Prg Studio does not have source control, doesn't allow you to go back to prior versions, and that capability is needed. Occasionally you need to go back to your previous versions. You'll start writing a program, it'll be working, and then the next day you go to make changes to it and you're like, what was it before this happened? You know? And so you can go back to a prior version. So with CrashPlan, I'm going to demonstrate that. You go into the console, click the Restore tab, and put in your password. You then go into locate the directory that you need to restore, and say I wanted to restore pac1.base or just pac.base right here. And you see all the different files that you could possibly restore. All the dates are right here. So as I was writing the program, making changes, it's constantly backing up. So say I wanted to restore an early version, and I didn't realize until looking at this that I had started this, or at least named it, on 11.7.15. So I'm going to restore the earliest version, and then you can choose where you would like it to be restored with these buttons right here, and you just click restore, and boom, it is restored. So to pull it up, I'm going to go to my desktop. It's right here on my desktop. Open it with Notepad. And there it is. In just seconds, if I needed to get to my original program or a prior version of the program, Crash Plan has saved me. It's also saved me when accidentally deleting something that I shouldn't have deleted. So this is a program that I highly recommend. And thanks for watching.